Now we're going to talk about the Singleton design pattern, and here's how it works. Normally when you have a class and you instantiate an object of that class, for example, you might have a database class, and that's this class here, and when you instantiate an object of that class, this is code that uses that database class, for example, and you get, every time you instantiate a new object using the new operator, you get a new object, object 1, object 2, object 3, and so forth. And the Singleton design pattern is different. Here you have a database class user in code, and you call a method called getInstance instead. So you make a call to a method called getInstance, and the idea is that here's the call. This instantiates a new object, object 1 of the database, and that object is returned to the caller as you see here, the database user. And then here's the key for the Singleton design pattern. You can make another call to getInstance to get a new instance of the database, and you are returned the same object. In other words, this is also object 1. So the Singleton design pattern says you only get one instantiated object, and instead of producing new objects each time you use the new operator, you instead use a method like getInstance, and getInstance returns the same objects time and time again. So there's only, in your program then, there's only one instantiated object, not multiple objects. So that's the way the Singleton design pattern works. You work with the same object. So even though there's multiple times that the getInstance method is called, in fact only one object is created and returned each time. So that's the way the Singleton design pattern works, as opposed to letting your program, your code, create multiple instances of a class. If the Singleton design pattern says you're only allowed to create one instance of a class, although you can have that same instance of a class referred to and returned to many different callers. There's only one instance of the class inside your entire program, as opposed to many possible instances when you use a new operator. So that's the Singleton design pattern. We'll take a look at how that works in code coming up next.